Hello, everybody, to another special edition of Shank and Spence Show on a beautiful Thursday night here in the metropolitan area, and we are here talking some Odell Beckham, and we're gonna jump right into his write-in apology, and we're gonna break it down how he feels in the whole media world and how he's viewed right now and how his apology. We're just gonna jump right into it, Spence.
Yeah.
I think the Odell Beckham apology. I read it a couple times. I really, as a Giants fan, I like to hear people who apologize, but
Well,
I
Matt,
didn't really get to, I didn't really get the same like sincere apology. I didn't feel like his emotions through his words. I don't know if he is one of his media guys wrote it for him, but he said he was sorry to all the fans. I know he said he dropped the ball in the sportsmanship, which is very obvious. But when I was reading it, I don't know if I really feel that same sincere apology maybe that I've got maybe from other people. Maybe it's different from my perspective because I read things differently from others. But I mean, that's just it's one of those things he had to do to make himself look better in the public eye. And there's a lot of speculation still going out right now about Josh Norman and with the gay slurs and what he's been saying, or the speculation through that, if it's fake, if it's real. It all depends on all. For right now, it's all hearsay now. And I just want to give your take on what's the best for, or what do you think about his apology.
yeah, sure, absolutely, man. I'd love to weigh in on this topic. Well, firstly, I'm actually going to read to the fans the statement from Odell, and I can read this briefly, okay? So then we can kind of break it down paragraph by paragraph, okay?
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I'll read it quickly, and then maybe you could even stop me and say, I think that that's BS, or I think that somebody might have wrote it for him, or that's
I know. I'm just giving my general opinion right now and to the public, and
I'll
we'll
read
see
it,
what
In
happens.
case people haven't read it, it's on Giants.com, but here it is from Odell Beckham Jr. I owe some people an apology. I wasn't raised to act like I did the other day. I am not here to make excuses for my conduct. This isn't about anything that was said or done to me. This is about my behavior, and I am responsible for my behavior. People expect better from me, and I expect better from myself. First of all,
Obviously,
I apologize to the organization I represent, the Giants and our ownership, John Mara and his family, and Steve Tisch and his family, and Jerry Reese, who drafted me and gave me the opportunity to be a part of this organization. I want to apologize to Giants fans. They want to be proud of us and proud of our players like me who represent their team. What happened the other day was embarrassing to them and embarrassing to me. And then he says,
obviously.
a lot of kids look up to me as a role model. That is a responsibility I accept and take seriously. Many of the parents of those kids have asked since Sunday what they should say to their children about my conduct. I don't have the perfect answer, but I think one thing they could say is how I handled myself the other day is an example of how not to conduct yourself. I displayed poor sportsmanship. Then he goes on to say, I owe
Once again, obviously.
and our coaches and teammates an apology. But when you're giving an apology, Shenko, I think he hit everything that he needed to hit. Like, my favorite part of this was that he actually knows the owners, John Mara and Steve Tisch, and he actually pointed out to them and the
True.
Giants franchise, he's kind of aware of how Giants should act.
Hmm.
And luckily, that's been instilled in him because other players might just say, "I'm sorry to the teammates, I'm sorry to this locker room." But Odell's looking at it from a bigger point of view, from Giants Nation's point of view, and that's something that kind of struck me as a huge positive in this apology.
Yeah, I wanted to lay out the negatives real first, but obviously I want to end it on a positive note on this video. But I really think that, like you said, he really did hit on a lot of these great points about being a role model to all these citizens out there who look up to him. He's a Madden cover, and he is a great role model in this community. He gives a lot back to the NFL community through these helpful groups that he is involved in off the field, and and it's just one of those things where he has to mature more as a human being going forward. And I definitely see that. I mean, I do see it some of it in his apology, but when I read it for the first time, and I mean, obviously everybody gives apologies in different ways. So it's one of those things where I'll take it and we'll move forward from it. And it's something that, like, some similar to what Okafor has learned in Philadelphia.
Right.
You know, he's been suspended and he had a lot of issues there. It's kind of like a similar situation. Same with learning their lessons, and they're both young guys, and they'll be okay going forward.
Well, the thing about like Odell and comparing him to other athletes that might be going through these situations is during the heat of battle, you know, you could definitely get caught up in yourself versus Josh Norman, and you could kind of get caught up in that whole one-on-one battle out there on an island as a wide receiver. And ESPN piped up this matchup, or they broadcasted this matchup and really, really emphasized Odell versus Norman. And he's got to look at it from a team's point of view going forward. And a more experienced Odell will hopefully shoot down those accusations from ESPN trying to make the matchup all about himself versus Norman, and them bringing bats on the field and everything. I mean, it certainly was a unique circumstances, but for Odell, if he doesn't mature, then other teams are going to use this same exact tactic. The referees also needed to set the tone early. They did a horrendous job of letting this get out of hand, but I think that this is a great learning experience for Odell Beckham. And during his time with the Giants, we really hadn't seen that type of behavior on a regular basis. When you talk about Jaleel Okafor, he's getting in trouble with the law and getting in fights in nightclubs off of the field. It seems like this was provoked by Josh Norman. I think Odell's got to improve in certain areas, but I'm kind of coming around because Odell Beckham, in my eyes, he's been a class citizen for the last 2 seasons. Other than maybe kicking the ball versus the Jets, he hasn't really ever shown this side of losing control. But also, Shenko, there was no cornerbacks that he played that brought bats on the field and provoked him as much as Josh Norman, who's the ultimate instigator in the NFL at the moment. So
right, and to go off your point, I mean, going forward, I'm really anxious to what these defenses are going to do to Odell Beckham. They already know what easily gets into his head, and they're going to go after Odell. I mean, they're going to be very physical with him at the point of attack. They're going to be, trying to psych him out through either saying things to him that they'll throw him off his game, and he's just got to go. Yes, be one in, 1 year in, 1 year out. The type of things that you need to improve on as an individual player. Got to improve on your route running, your catching, because he lost. Like, he was so into the game, into the matchup with Josh Norman last week. He dropped a ball that was easily a touchdown pass, the first possession of the first quarter, the first play from scrimmage, and that really was, and everybody hyping him up. It was a big thing that they needed to. Well, Odell Beckham needed to be able to. I can't
execute.
Yeah, he has to execute these plays, and you got to block out all of this negative criticism about him leading up to the game. And it's just like you said before, it's going to be a great learning experience for him, and I'm looking forward to what he has in store, especially come Week 17, potentially the last possible game for Tom Coughlin to be coaching the New York Football Giants. And I think I'm looking forward to that game for him coming back, and I think everybody's going to be fired up for that game, and everybody will be rallying around Odell. And it's a team game, as we talked about in our previous videos, and I just hope the Giants can possibly make a run again like we did in 07 and 11.
Well, you know what, Shenko, before we wrap this up, a lot of this is brought on Odell because I know Odell loves having fun. He loves playing football. His dream is to be the best. His dream is to be a cultural icon like a Michael Jordan, and he has the talent to do that at the NFL wide receiver position. So he doesn't just want to, just be a professional and do all of the routine things, because everything about Odell is extraordinary, is unusual, is different. His hairstyle, his circus catches before the games. But something that kind of rubbed me the wrong way personally, and this is kind of being really critical. So our show's about opinions, and this might definitely be kind of me being a little bit of a hard ass on Odell Beckham. But after the Giants lost to the Jets in a really heartbreaking game, Odell went out to TMZ reported that he went out to clubs and was drinking with Jadakiss and stuff in New York. And as a fan, I was devastated that they didn't beat the Jets because that was a huge loss and it was a huge detriment to their playoff push. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way because he should be sour about the loss. And even Gronkowski for the Patriots dancing after the Super Bowl and going crazy. It seems like the game should somehow have an impact on your well-being for the day, on your emotions after the game is over. And as a fan, I know that I was just so distraught after the Jets game. And Odell didn't seem to be. Maybe he was drinking out of spite. I wanted to hear your opinion on that. And TMZ, of course, they get in everyone's public business. So, of course, maybe 15 years ago, Lawrence Taylor was probably doing the same things. But
to address your point before we end this video real quick, I think a lot of these athletes are, we're entering into the social media world. A lot of these people are connected either through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now everybody's using Periscope now to and also Snapchat to broadcast their lives around the world. And a lot of these people are interconnected with that, and they also want to be able to party with like big guys like Drake, Ludacris, Jadakiss, all these famous celebrities. And I feel like a lot of these athletes are, they want to make money and they also want to play, but then also even if they win, lose, or draw a game, a lot of them just want to go out and have fun, and they just want to enjoy life for what it is. And I feel like a lot of these players don't really devote 110% to the game that they paid for on the dotted line when they sign up for those contracts. And that's definitely another topic for another video that we can do, Spence. And I like, it's one of the, there's a lot of this examples that you have, like Odell, like you said, going out with Jadakiss, and DeAndre Jordan going out and partying with Thunder players after a loss at Staples Center. There's a lot of stories out there to break down, and it definitely contradicts a lot of these guys. That challenges a lot of these guys who are playing every day and devoting their life to the game. And it's different how people are judged, especially no matter what you do. Even if you go out to a club, you're going to be judged no matter what you do in this league, and no matter what sport you play. And it's one of those things where you shake your head and you look down and say, no, like that's wrong. But yeah,
you're right. And the NBA is a different beast because of how many games there are. But as a fan, like, it's just you want your team to care very deeply, as other fans do. And players deserve the right to have fun, especially guys talented as Odell. But at the same time, you really want him mentally to care whether they win or lose to a high degree, and not be so buddy after some frustrating defeats. But that's our Odell Beckham review. I personally liked it. I thought he addressed all the points. I think he showed a large scope of knowledge over the situation, the culture of being a New York Giant, how it's team first, talking about the owners, kids who look up to him. I enjoyed the apology. Shenko criticized it a bit, but I did enjoy some parts.
I'm mixed feelings about it, and it's just one of those things where I like it and I don't like it. I'm never going to be happy. We're spoiled Giants fans here, so we're always going to want more from our players, especially when they devote 365 days to the sport they love. And we always want another Super Bowl title, so that's something in our near future that we can possibly get.
You thought it was forced a little bit, though. That's your criticism.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit forced. He obviously had to say it, but maybe he could have said it a little bit better. But it is what it is. You move on. We're still alive in the playoff race, so we'll see where it goes from there.
By Freds. Well, we'll catch up with you guys very soon. We'll try to pop up another video during the next day or so. So Shank and Spence Show signing off.